Welcome to the program from the 33rd team, the great NFL writer Jason called. Could you deduce anything from the preseason about how any of these teams or players are going to perform?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like there was no effort whatsoever to even disguise the fact that these weren't even as intense as some of the practices as the players and the coaches often allude to.
I think it is incredibly difficult to try and figure out who's actually really good for the first month of the season. I would stay away. Of course, I'm saying that to you.
I'm trying to figure out who to use in my survivor pool in week one. What are you talking about as we speak?
Yeah, you want the veteran teams that know how to play at speed. The younger teams are going to struggle with this kind of stuff unless they're coached by somebody who's like a real high octane coach. He's just going to get them playing like rabid dogs. Not a lot of Jimmy Johnson's going to live right now.
Dan Campbell, I guess, comes to mind right away.
Love Dan Campbell. Love.
Yeah. Crazed is not strong enough to quantify where he's coming from in relation to the other coaches.
I often, and I've said this out loud, that if they win a Super Bowl, he's running naked down.
100%. 100%.
Right? No question about it.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Of course, the Defo Show largely features, and maybe even at this point starring, one Mike Lubie Lubitz. And the evolution is on here. The Def not exactly getting any younger. Lubie, really, really coming to the forefront here as a major talent, which you were all along. It was being so badly suppressed by the people in the business. Isn't that amazing? They want you to be a big-time talent, and then they do everything they can to suppress any chance you have of succeeding.
It's actually exactly how it works.
Isn't that right?
Like those that make it, it's like a shock. It's like, oh, shit, you made it? It's like,
every program director went to the Brian Flores School of Quarterback Coaching.
Yes.
Just tell your guy he sucks every day, that you're not doing a job. My favorite solution to it and suggestion was always, you know what you ought to do? More show prep. Because they had these guys that really didn't have a whole lot of talent to go ahead.
Yes.
I mean, good people, but nonetheless, they weren't as extemporaneous, I guess, as you probably need to be to do this for a living and do it every day successfully. That's the thing. A lot of guys can pull off one show. They got one idea. But if you're coming in, you did a 4-hour show on Monday, you got to do another one on Tuesday. All right, the real test comes after you've been doing it for a long period of time. And mediocrity is largely accepted in this racket. And yet, that being said, the people that were running the stations would just they would suggest that because the more pedestrian types in this business were sitting there for hours poring over notes.
Yeah, why?
Scouring the internet and doing whatever they can, stealing other people's material. That to them seemed like the method to success, the road to success. And how many times did we hear that? Well, what about show prep?
Look, the one thing I'll say,
it's kind of like the debate prep. I don't mean to cut you off there, but you're out campaigning every day. You don't know what the hell the issues are at that point and what your stance is.
I don't know. Maybe for the first time in a long time, it might have been good that they did a lot of prep because it showed very comfortably and confidently for one side. That supposedly was over prepping and people making fun of her prep. Well, there's a reason she was a prosecutor and a DA and an attorney general. She takes prep very seriously. And unlike some, I'm sorry, who either don't do it or are too old where it fucked them up, it was her superpower. Whatever that was.
Well, he's been getting by with this forever to the minions that I think that he actually has been sent here as the chosen one by God. I mean, remember all of those posts that came up after fortunately, I mean, he dodged a bullet, literally. And nobody wants to see somebody killed over this. I mean, you may want to see him go away, but not like that in a body bag. And that would be a horrible way to have this result come about. But anybody, even the staunchest, I know a couple of guys online that are constantly posting favorable things about Trump, almost to the point where you're thinking, do I really want to even know this guy? And you keep reminding yourself not to let that get in the way of your friendships. And Even some of those were conceding. My God, what a fucking mess. That was ugly last night, didn't you? I don't know if you caught a lot of it, Lubie. You said you were kind of staying away from it, and I appreciate the fact that it's very hard to just even look at this guy and hear the sound of his voice anymore. It just is. And then when he became totally unhinged after Kamala suggested that his crowds were minuscule and that the people were walking out on his rallies, that was the breaking point for Trump. He lost it completely after that and started talking about eating cats and dogs.
Yes, well, that's the funny thing about it is the stuff he says is all lies, and she handles it with panache and calm, and she was actually just laughing at him, which is great. The stuff she says is the truth, and he loses it on. It's like we've watched the videos of the rallies are actually small, and then people literally are falling asleep. There's barely any cheering, and then halfway through, most people start leaving. Like this isn't like a lie. It's like there's video. Like that's the problem for the Republicans is we live in this isn't the 60s where you can just say all this crazy shit and there's no evidence. Like every person has a video camera wherever they go. Like there's video of everything he does for the last 10 years. So when they say this bullshit, well, are the best, dude, they're empty. We're watching you do rallies. Now, first of all, they're getting smaller because it's the Marlin theory. Like if you're going to have 25,000, make it look like it's when you have 15,000, it looks busy. Like that's the first thing. And on top of that, every time they're leaving, like the Kamala ones look like a goddamn fucking, we're going to have Ed on a Michigan football game hosting the fucking Ohio State. Like
looks like Woodstock.
They're packed to the rafters and people are fucking cheering. It's like a soccer game in goddamn England. Like, and this isn't AI. Like people are really excited. The lines are around. It's like the Duke fucking Cameron crazies for her rallies. Like people line up for miles and sit there for like hours. Like these are just things that are real and he can not like them. But it is what it is. Reality exists. And I know that side doesn't like that, but it does. And facts exist. And video evidence exists. And audio recordings, Georgia, exist. Like, it's just.
I thought she could have hammered him on a few more things. I mean, as much of a beatdown as it was, she could have thrown in a few other things, and she did make some implication to the sexual assault. I thought at some point when they were talking about abortion and women's rights to govern their own body, which obviously is something that everybody should be in favor of, that she could have thrown in, well, with your well-known respect for women, Donald. No wonder you have this position. He could have thrown a couple of, heavier, grenades at him, but didn't he really have to because all she had to do, and this was funny, too, because it kind of was the reverse Biden debate where all she had to do was let him talk, and he looked like a crazed maniac. Yes. With just so much negativity. My God. And this business, when a politician says this, it disgusts me. It goes back to Nixon when he said he had a plan to end the war in Vietnam when he was running for president. And you're thinking, if you have a plan to end the war, and Trump's claiming, oh, well, I could make one phone call and that war in the Ukraine to be over tomorrow, then make the fucking call. And you know what? If you do that and you accomplish that, I will vote for you. I will. I mean, if you're really capable of changing the course of some of the ugliness that's going on in the world right now, if you're that friendly with Vlad, as you like to claim, then go ahead and give the fucking guy a call and tell him to stop this shit right now. But it's not happening, and it would never happen. So and then when he was just fumbling and bumbling and stumbling over the healthcare issue, and it was. I understand people are saying that Muir was biased. I thought he did a good job of trying to shut down some of the bullshit from Trump.
He just did his job. That's you know what that is, and I loved it when people said that. I'm like, yeah. When every Fox person called it bias, no, it's not bias. You understand? Letting someone lie to your face and doing nothing about it, that's the bias.
Yeah.
Like if Kamala had lied, she just didn't lie. She doesn't need to lie. She has the facts on her side. But if Kamala had lied, they would have said, Kamala, you lied. She just didn't. Like, I'm sorry. Like, my response to that is, so you would rather someone just lie to your face then? That's weird for a grown adult.
You can't just let that slide.
Be lied to.
Yeah. Somebody says something really stupid on a sports show, and you have a guest on, you want to have respect for him, whatever, and the person unfortunately makes a completely erroneous statement that everybody in the world knows, okay, no, those guys didn't win the World Series. You have to at least say something. By the way, that they won the World Series 10 years ago, not yesterday.
Well, no, when we had Merrill Hodge and he was doing his lying.
Oh yeah, remember that? Yeah, that was wild.
We didn't go after him, but we were like, I mean, that's not true. Like,
Sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, Marilyn. What the
he's
fuck
the real
happened to you?
thing.
I mean, if that wasn't CTE on steroids, that interview, that was on a radio row. All right, before we get into all of this, we do have to pay tribute, and I will never forget this, and I'm sure everybody else is in the same boat where, and I happen to have distinct memories of where I was and what I was doing when the 9/11 attack happened. I don't know that we ever, I mean, it's still hard to put into perspective the severity of what happened that day. I watched the thing, the 60 Minutes thing the other night. They had a repeat of really well documented piece that Scott Pelley did on 60 Minutes, hour long 60 Minutes episode. I guess maybe did it air a couple of years ago, where he detailed what was going on with the New York Fire Department and the bravery and the commitment that these guys had. And over 300, I think it was like 343 firemen were lost in their attempts to rescue people from the Twin Towers. And I was on the air at the time with Joe Rose, Steve Goldstein. I don't know if you remember where you were, Lubie, but you were kind of a young man at that point.
I was in college. Yep.
Yeah. And the first plane hit, and you thought, geez, well, what kind of clown, was flying this plane? How could he crash into the World Trade Center? And then the second plane hit, and everybody realized, my God, I mean, this is a terrorist attack of the most heinous variety and the severity. And that was it. And then I do remember another. I mean, I don't mean to be overly critical of the guy who was running the station at the time, but his suggestion was that we don't talk about it for the rest of the week or take any calls on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I said, there's no way that we're not going to allow people to have this platform. It's the same thing after any form of devastation. The school shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
On that, and it was some of the greatest things we've done.
Hurricane Andrew, people to this day still come up. I mean, not like I did anything, but they say, hey, I want to thank you because you were all we had, right? It was Karen, that is all we had.
Yep.
And you got us through some tough times by giving people a chance to express themselves. And turned out, many people were happy that we allowed them the chance to call in on a radio show and exchange ideas and thoughts about it. As you would imagine, all of which kind of were in the same direction. But I'll never forget that. And I don't think it's never going to be forgotten. But the piece the other day on 60 Minutes really reminded me of, just how hideous it was. And then there was, great acts of heroism by the people in New York. And especially these firemen and the police and the first responders. Guys are going up the stairs while this building is crumbling, and they're trying to save like 3 people that they knew were alive on the 82nd floor. Unbelievable, Lubie. It was just great. You kind of flip-flopped on me. You look like Donald Trump there. But it should never be forgotten. And also, happy birthday to 2 of our friends born on 9/11. The lovely and talented Leslie Visser. Happy birthday. And our good friend Troy Stratford,
nice.
college guy, also was born on 9/11. Any others out there? Happy birthday to you on a day that, let's face it, the news of what happened on that day, what was that, 23 years ago?
Yeah, it's great. It's
will always overshadow anything else.
Mayo yesterday was like, I guess it's a great day. Happy birthday, Leslie Visser. Mayo was saying something, and you were like, yeah, tomorrow's Visser Mama's birthday. And then he was like, it's also another day. And I'm like, oh shit, tomorrow's night. Like, it used to be a big deal, the first 5 years. And then like you sort of forget. And it's like,
should never be forgotten, my friend.
I'll never forget where it's like for you guys with JFK. Like, I was literally in geology lab freshman year of college, and the class finished. And then there was like some email. I don't know. Email wasn't even a big deal yet. It was like the late 90s. So you didn't have it on your phone or whatever. But I remember, I don't know what it is. I think I live close to campus. I had to go home for some reason. And there was like, I remember leaving class, and there was like whispers and murmurs about something had happened, whatever. And then we get home, and it's like, you see the first tower going down. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, well, how does some stupid ass fly into the toy? Like, because that's what it looked like. It was like some stupid ass plane flew into the fuck. Like, oh my God, that's a really bad mistake. And then they heard the thing. What was it? Pennsylvania. I was like, oh shit.
Wow. I mean, that was a whole nother thing.
Or
Yeah.
DC in Pennsylvania. Like, it was like, what the fuck? Like,
I mean, as Colonel Kurtz said, and it applies 100%, the horror, just unbelievable. The other image that sticks out like that, was January 6th when people crawling up the walls of the Capitol building. And that was another thing that Kamala at least brought to the forefront there. And you did have Trump backpedaling and doing a moonwalk, acting like he had nothing to do with it. But and I thought she could have hammered it and sealed that even heavier, just by saying, you're sitting there, Donald, eating Swedish meatballs while this is going on. And I thought she could have brought up Mike Pence and the fact that while that was all happening and cops were getting killed and people were dying, and the disgrace to the country that it was. That Trump knew and full well that the minute he sent out a thing that said people go home, they would go home.
100%.
And then he still couldn't admit that he was a big part of it, even on that day when he said, well, you're all wonderful people. And his claim, too, that he's going to pardon everybody that took part in this thing and were guilty of violent acts where people were killed. He shrugs his shoulders and says, well, I don't really have anything to do with it. It's like, go fuck yourself, Donald.
Both sides. He wants to get credit for doing the crazy shit, and then when people are pissed about the crazy shit, he's like, "Oh, I didn't do the crazy shit." It's like, dude, we have a
he couldn't have been any more proud of what was going on. Proud boy, lover.
Speech riling them up, and for 2 hours. My favorite is this thing he keeps doing, where I asked Nancy Pelosi wasn't in any power. She was the Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House is like third or fourth in line. Like, you're the fucking president. Why would you go to Nancy?
Anyway, if you knew that this was going to get to the point where you were going to escalate the
fucking mayor,
the fury over this bullshit that he really won the election, where you're sending a guy in to do something in open defiance of anything that never mind the Constitution, just common sense. You lost the election. The voters are going to go ahead and put in this formality, and you're going to be out. But if you knew that it was going to escalate, you feared that it was going to escalate to the point where you needed 10,000 extra people, army and militia and whatever else, to stave this off from happening, then why would you do it in the first place? You're the president of the United States, for Christ's sake.
100%.
If that was a job interview for a busboy at Denny's, I mean, they would have called somebody in the middle of the interview, the manager, and said, I think you better come and send somebody to get this guy. He really needs help. So anyway, that was probably, that was exactly what we wanted from Joe Biden, and he wasn't capable of doing it, which makes you feel even better about the fact that he stepped aside, realizing he wasn't going to be able to stand up to this prick, and boom. I mean, she lowered a right hand right on the chin. I mean, this was Aaron Pryor running out of the corner and throwing a haymaker with the very first punch. So that was good, Lubie. Hopefully it works. I mean, there are still people, no matter what this guy does, no matter how bad he looks, there are still people that think this should be the president of the United States of America. You have to be kidding me. And I love the fact that she kept throwing in that he was being laughed at around the world by world leaders.
That's the thing. But look, and what's great about him is, and I'm saying that sarcastically, is rebuttal is to bring up a dictator. And prove
that was great.
Or about
kind of asshole. I mean, that's when you know the guy's falling completely apart.
He's a goddamn dictating, fascist, authoritarian murderer. Thank you. She should have said, "Thank you, Donald, for proving my point."
Well, he pretty much did. You talk about a layup. That was this.
Dude, like, what are you doing?
All right, we have a lot to do on the program here related to sports, because this, after all, essentially is a sports show. Although we just feel like we're getting together for breakfast with you guys, and that's the way it is. Tony Segreto is going to go old school with us. In fact, let's bring Tony in right now.
Well, I mean, we're talking 9/11. He was a guy that I presume he had.
Tony was, I mean, I'm sure a big part of the coverage there. Tony, you are the most handsome. I mean, I don't want to, qualify you as an older gentleman, but you literally get better looking every day.
Is what they call them.
What the hell, Tony? How are you, babe?
What they used to call them. I guess I'm an old man. I don't know what they call
Silver Fox. Yeah, it used to be
Silver Fox back in the day.
Silver Fox.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's that. It's just a very distinct,
what the young ones.
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm coming on to you, Tony, but just a distinct,
keep it up,
handsome, distinguished gentleman. How are you, kid?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing all right. I feel good. I mean, after last night, I feel a lot better about things, because I'm thinking nobody in their right mind could have watched this performance last night by Donald Trump, and also compared to what Kamala did. See, I don't know that Kamala Harris is going to be the greatest president in the United States. And I'm not sure that she would have been my first choice to be president. But I mean, look, I'm part of the also anything but Trump school of thought. I mean, they could run a monkey against Donald Trump, and I would vote in the monkey. But and I don't mean that. I don't want to get into any kind of that. That is not meant to be any kind of
A
a racial
lizard,
anything. And it's not a Serena Williams thing.
robots, anything that was there,
Uh,
you'd vote for.
Name another animal, Default. They could have run, a dog against
Lizard.
Donald Trump.
Doesn't
Now-
matter.
Hopefully, a dog that wasn't going to be
mention the dogs.
consumed by crazy Venezuelan
exactly.
refugees.
Think of dogs.
Don't mention the dogs.
The immigrants
Yeah.
in
People
Ohio.
are eating the dogs, according to him. People are
What
eating
the hell was that?
That was the
And,
best.
and anyway, like every question, the answer can't be you're running for president of the United States. And I know politicians always do this. In fact, I used to do this. I'm sure you were guilty of it. Or not guilty. I mean, it's just a technique, right? You're doing a talk show. Somebody asks you a question you have no idea about, right?
Yeah.
They say, hey, what about that second string third baseman that's in AAA for the Marlins? And you're thinking, who the fuck is that? And so you go, yeah, I think the kid's okay. But you know what's really important?
Yeah.
And then you just change directions. And then you have a theory about something
Whose
else.
dog is that? Whose dog is that barking in the background?
Yes.
The
Holly.
Skipperoni.
He heard me.
He heard Trump.
Yeah.
He heard you. Yep, he's pissed.
He's
heard
not
me.
happy about any activity in the backyard that's going on out there, which I see nobody. So his vision is a little blurry. He's older in dog years than Trump is in terms of mental debilitation
All that
from what we've seen. But what did you think, Tony? Did you? I'm sure you watched this because you are involved in this sort of thing.
I
What did you
watched the
think?
whole thing.
I mean, everyone watched it. I was the only one trying to stay away, and you people kept bringing me back in. I kept getting texts, Defo and Mayo, and then my two buddies, two of my best friends, are texting, and they're like, "Get your popcorn! Cannot wait!" Like, I have no need to watch this. I know what she's.
I
gonna
even said to you, "Are you ready for tonight?"
You did too, yes. But during you went away and watched it, they kept doing play by play. Mayo, oh, what a shot! Oh, boom, pow! And then my buddies were like, "Wow, she got him." I'm like, "Fine." So I would try to watch it, and I like her. I don't know why we do this thing as Democrats. They defended the guy who's the worst candidate we've ever had. I don't know if he's the worst president. We've had some shitty presidents. He's the worst candidate we've ever had. Like literally the least qualified of any candidate ever. He's never been in public life at all. The thing he's good at, he sucked at. Like business is his thing, but he literally has 6 bankruptcies, the most in American history. So he's not even good at that.
That was a good one too that she threw out there.
Why did you miss that?
Yeah.
He's the worst candidate we've ever had by like a lot. But they love him, right? And we have to couch it. Well, I don't really like Kamala, but that's bullshit. I like Kamala. Like
No, I don't not like her. I just
Well,
don't
it's
know
not
that
you.
she's going
No,
to be a great
Mayo,
president. Yeah.
a lot. The professor, and again, if you're an independent, fine. You know, she's a strong woman that scares the shit out of you, and she laughs, which I still don't understand why that's a bad thing. And early on, she was trying to be really liberal, and now she's found her footing more like Obama, moderate left, which is literally how the country runs best. Fine, you don't like that. But the person right now, the last 2 months that's been talking is as good a candidate as we could have asked for. And to not openly say that, you're being a bullshitter. Like whenever she talks with authority. She talks with knowledge. She lets herself down to talk personally. Then on the debate stage, she just beat the living shit out of him. But my thing was, I can't listen to him talk. Like he's going to have to talk at some point. And I have to change it. It's all lies. He just lies upon lies. And even as they were trying to fact check him, I'm sorry, Laura Ingraham, that's their job. You can't fact check every word. So some of the lies still get through. And it's like, I have to change it. I can't listen to that man who I've hated my entire life on that stage, getting the same level of credence as a woman who's lived her life by the facts. It's just hard for me. But even I had to watch a little bit of it because it was just something.
It was great.
It was great.
What'd you think, Tony?
Kamala was awesome. I hate to get political on you.
That's okay, man. This is
We are
what we're
right
doing.
now.
Yeah.
This is
It's
where
very
we're-
important. This is a big decision for the country.
For
no
the
question.
world.
Yeah.
Trump was just he was an old man.
Well, an
Yes.
old and despicable man.
Yes.
He was
I mean,
an old
yeah.
man. And he was lost. He was he was grabbing for things. He was just he is Kamala is She may not be the best choice, but boy, oh boy, and Taylor Swift came out big time.
Yes, that was great.
Big time last night, right afterwards. Within a half hour of the debate, she came out and said, "I'm voting for Kamala." Period.
I don't know how, given the choice, even the staunchest previous Trump supporters could say, wait a minute. Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Pretty rough. All right, Tony, and 9/11, Lubie brought this up, and of course you were involved heavily. Now, you were doing news then, or I think you were doing news, yeah.
I was doing news then.
All right, so what was your experience with that?
It was the worst feeling I had. It was it was just, what can I say? It diminished what we believe in, and it diminished everything that's around us. It was devastating. It was devastating to my soul, to my heart, to everything. I still can't think of it and not cry.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. And what kind of coverage did you end up doing? Because that happened in the morning. I mean, I want to say somewhere
24 hours a day.
Wow. You were in 24 hours. Jesus.
Yeah, around the clock.
Okay.
Around the clock.
Wow.
And we had to be strong. It was so hard to be strong, and because it affected so many people, and it affected our homeland. It affected our nuts. It affected our innermost feelings, and it was tough.
Yeah. New York sometimes gets a very bad rap. Maybe a lot of it is deserved. Having grown up there and lived there the first 22 years of my life, I understand all of that. But wow, I mean, if you aren't moved by that piece that Scott Pelley did on 60 Minutes, it's definitely worth watching at any time, which they re-aired this past Sunday in honor of 9/11 on the FDNY. Wow. I mean, that was extremely powerful. And you see the loyalty and the whole philosophy of the people that were involved, and how it's passed down, this fireman position to generations, and how young people that maybe we didn't even have an interest in doing it, who lost their fathers, and people, I guess mothers as well, women perished also, how they encouraged them to go ahead and do this and become firefighters. Very, very moving and touching piece. Very encouraging about the human condition, Tony, to see people like that.
It's a shame. It's a shame that September 11th this year falls on the day after the debate.
Yeah,
because the debate took up 3/4 of the news first block. But this day should be remembered, and should be remembered by so many people in so many ways. It should never, ever, ever be forgotten. It should be the lead story. But again, because of the debate, it wasn't.
Yeah, CNN had like 100 analysts. It looked like a Fox postgame show. I was waiting for Brady Quinn to weigh in on the debate.
MSNBC too. My God, they were. I fell asleep way after the debate, and the TV was on. They were still going. At 3.
Oh yeah, no, that'll be like for the next 8 weeks or whatever. Yeah, unbelievable. All right, are you going to do it, Tony? Did you remember? Did you bring the board?
I did.
We gave you the first game. We gave you that one because I know you would have predicted a win over Jacksonville.
I didn't bring the board.
the board.
You know what happened? I'll get it this. I wrote a note to myself that I have to get it this today. So I'm going to go out right after this. I'm going out. I'm getting it.
Well, you may have to come on a show tomorrow with a special appearance then, because I don't know that we can go 2 weeks into the season with knowing the results and then have a credible accounting of what the season's going to look like. But I know you definitely would have predicted a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, which was a little bit of a life and death struggle.
Shaky.
Very surprising that it took that much.
It was ridiculous how tough it was.
Yeah.
To Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, it's either the Jaguars have gotten that much better, or
that's a little both to me.
You know what? I mean, a lot of people would attribute it to ring rust, where and then of course the Tyreek Hill incident, was a whole nother thing. You would imagine that would have,
Ring rust.
yeah, I mean, been tough to just shrug off and immediately go out there and play football. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't know. This first week of the regular season, we saw a lot of slop, and we've been talking about it for the last few years since the preseason has been diminished down to no starters ever playing, including Aaron Rodgers.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah,
The people, the fans of the NFL, okay, they have bitched
yes,
about the preseason. Oh, the preseason is not worth it. The preseason, and now that we have a limited preseason, they're bitching that the first week and second week are, what's
garbage.
going on?
Yeah.
So make up your mind, folks. What do you want?
There has to be a better way, though. I mean, they've reduced the preseason. It's eventually going to go to 2 games, you would think.
It won't even exist.
And maybe even no, they'll never get rid of it altogether because it's a huge profit center for the owners of the teams. They're not paying the players, and they get all of the revenue, and they still have TV revenue coming in. Plus, on top of that, they charge the season ticket holders full price to go and not even attend these games. That just have to be forced to buy the tickets. It's almost as bad as the personal seat license theory, which I don't know. Is anybody going out of their way now to buy a personal seat license for any sporting event after that whole? Remember when that was a big thing? Like you couldn't get into Giants game or Jets games.
Yeah. You had to pay for the right.
You had to pay $25,000 for the right to be able to buy the tickets at an exorbitant price to begin with. You don't hear too much about that anymore. I mean, imagine if you were one of those suckers that paid that money, and you're paying full price for the tickets, and the guy sitting next to you didn't pay the $25,000 fee, didn't pay $160 for the tickets. He paid $8 online from StubHub, and he's sitting right there next to you for the game because you bought him at the last minute. You would feel like a bit of a stooge, although at least you were guaranteed a seat. But did you? I mean, what did you think? I mean, should we just erase that? Figure, okay, Dolphins managed to win the game, and you have already tomorrow coming up. A pivotal game too.
Tomorrow's game will tell a tale.
Yeah,
because I think tomorrow's game will enlighten a lot of people, either good or bad.
And what is your lean on this, Tony Segreto? Do you have? I mean, the Bills didn't look great. They did win their game against Arizona after trailing. Josh Allen owns the Miami Dolphins. We know that.
It's home, right?
Yes, Dolphins are at home. Thursday night game, Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Miami.
See, okay, so we have the first 2. So now you can come back. I guess you can wait till next week, and you'll either be 1-1 or 2-0 going into your review or your prognostication on the schedule there. Which
I like Miami because the Buffalo Bills did not show anything at all.
No, they struggled like the Dolphins did.
Yeah. Have the Bills, I think I have this stat right. Did they not win 10 of the last 11 against Miami, all with Josh Allen a quarterback?
Yeah. It's not.
There was a time when Miami won all of them.
They won like 40 in a row one stretch. And then back in the Louis Oliver days, we were getting pounded by Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed.
The Louis Oliver days?
Remember, Louis Oliver was always, he all we saw was his back. I love Louis Oliver. He was a great guy, very enjoyable.
I love Louis Oliver.
But they were getting torched by what? Lofton and
James Lofton, Andre Reed.
Andre Reed.
It was ridiculous. It was. I would go to Buffalo, okay, and I'll set the scene for you. We just got torched, and I was waiting outside the locker room, and Tom Oliver walks out.
Oh, Jesus.
We loved Oliver.
Oh, my God.
And,
fucking worst.
He's got the book, and I got the book. And I said, Tom, what happened? He said, he shows me this.
Yeah.
If you would eliminate the Thurman Thomas 55-yard run and the James Lofton 83-yard pass.
We stopped him.
The Jim Kelly 62-yard run. And We stopped.
Yeah, they ate
Yeah,
nothing.
but you didn't do it.
I get hung on
Yeah,
so
exactly.
long.
No, I can vouch for that because that was in a kinder, friendlier time with the relationship between the team and media, where coaches would invite you into their office and explain stuff to you.
Shula would invite me in all the time.
Yeah, Mike
Sitting
Westhoff
down.
was great at that. Gary
Yeah.
Stevens, Oliver Dottie was especially generous in that way, and I remember him saying those exact words to me, not necessarily about a Buffalo game, but about many games where he said, "Yeah, you know what? If you took that 87-yard run out of the equation, they only gained 104 yards on the ground." Yeah, but it counts, Tom. It also rang up a big 6 on the scoreboard, plus
Exactly.
the extra point to make it
Put on
7,
the
my friend.
score, my
Oh,
friend, like it's there.
You lost by 3, so you can't take that play out of the game.
Just-
Any way to spin it, man. That was it.
He
But
was-
they were all very
he
nice
was
people. They
spinning it
really
like
were.
This man, he was
He was
spinning
the
it
worst.
quicker
was-
than you can.
You couldn't help but like those guys. And at
Oh,
least
you
we
love
knew who they were because they were all with the same team for a long period of time.
Yeah,
That was
you
good
love
stuff.
them. You absolutely love them. By the way, I meant to tell you guys,
Yeah.
it's 45 degrees here today.
Oh, Jesus.
45.
45.
All right. We won't hold that against you, Tony. You
90.
double that, and you have the morning temperature here.
Yeah, I was just sweating walking my dog at 7 o'clock.
I literally opened the door to let the dogs out before we started the show, and I mean a steam bath. I was overwhelmed. I mean, by humidity, it just hit me right in the face, and all of a sudden you start sweating. I don't even put my shirt on because I know I'm going to do that until I sit down
How
here.
you
'Cause
feeling, Defo? How you
I
feeling?
couldn't be any better. I mean, I feel great. Yeah, the walk of life once again comes to the rescue. Although, do you find this, Tony, that you wake up with injuries that you can't recall how they could have possibly happened? Because I got like a hip flexor and I didn't do anything. Life and death to get up the stairs here.
Slept funny.
No, I slept like a baby after that. I mean, I couldn't have felt any better about things because you were hoping that the Kamala thing would turn out well and that Trump would be exposed as a clown, and which to us, we've been watching this for how many years now. I thought he was a jerk off before he ever thought about being in politics. I never was a fan of this guy, which our good friend Joe Casale points out that at 9/11, Trump claims, well, I mean, his first statement when the towers went down was, and I'm surprised that Kamala didn't bring this up last night, because, I mean, it's a quote where, he's on record as having said, well, now I have the tallest building in New York.
Yes, yes.
Does that not
like
summarize
his first
what
thing.
kind of maniac this guy is? And
That was his
that's
first
coming from
response.
23 years ago. I mean, insane. That's not exactly presidential stuff, is it?
He wants to be our president, and he has his following, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Now you got to hope that who.
Some people wake up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to bring in Ed Garcia, but we have to do a little bit of business here,
Breakfast.
including expressing our high regard for Texas Roadhouse restaurant. So we're going to come back with Tony and Ed Garcia in just a moment here on the show. And now that.
The time.
Thank you, Johnny Addy, man. It's 8:44.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome back to the show on this Wednesday. We're Old School with Tony Segreto. That, of course, brought to you every week by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. And the man behind all of that is the great Ed Garcia, who joins us right now. And this is good. Lubie and I are lucky with Mike Mayo. We get to eat like a lot of great food around town. Yesterday, we did a doubleheader. We're at Taco Craft. This is all Lauderdale by the Sea, down the street from my place. So it couldn't have been any more of a pleasure. And then Even Keel Fish Shack, another fine establishment, which now has two locations, one Lauderdale by the Sea and on Las Olas as well. And what's great, Tony, is, and these guys do a terrific job, all of them do, Texas Roadhouse right in there with them. And, it's just phenomenal, the job that Ed and his people are able to do all around the country, and the consistency, which is, a strong stalwart in having successful so-called chain restaurants. But, great tribute to Ed Garcia that, as I was thinking about, wow, how lucky are we to eat this fine food all the time, that Texas Roadhouse, is right there in the mix with like top-notch chefs and very creative people. Really a fine job, Ed. That being said, and welcome to the show, Ed Garcia from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. How was it? I don't know. You were optimistic, but it was like a cautious optimism about the Texas game. Take us out there because it certainly was an exciting college football scene.
You were out there.
I was out there. I'll tell you, Michigan played much better the second half, and they actually outscored Texas the second half. It just, that first half was a big mess. One of the things that I saw, the quarterback Warren, when he was under pressure, he executed. Every time he was running the ball, he was getting the plays in. He was getting the first downs and that type of stuff. But whenever he had time, he either fumbled or intercepted. Not every single time, but that first half was pretty ugly. It was tough on me because I sat with a UT alum and ex-football player. So,
and isn't that the head honcho at Texas Roadhouse across the country?
Yes. So I was going to leave him there, but he said that if I did, I wouldn't have a job on Monday. So we had
You're in a tough spot.
The way through. The Texas did some like Texas I song at the end. And
he made you say till the end? Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
The good thing was there wasn't a lot of traffic heading back, but yes.
So you were better served by waiting. It's like going to a Marlins game. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Let the crowd out first.
I did that one time to Joey. I went to a Tigers game in Detroit, and I said, we got to stay for the whole game. He goes, "You mean we don't leave after 3?" I said, "No, we stay for the whole game."
That used to be me. I would never even consider leaving a game, and then once we get, especially in baseball now, once you get past the 5th inning, you're thinking, "Hey, let's get the bleep out of here."
Hey Ed, what's going on with Davey?
Please. Oh, it's still moving along. I go to committee at the end of this month, and as I mentioned last time, we have 2 sites. And it looks like they're going to accept both of them. But again, so we're fingers crossed. I gotta get past the committee, which will be the end of September. So first week of October, I will tell you if we're moving forward or not. So stay tuned. But very, very
Tony,
exciting.
you need to frequent the one in Vermont. I think you're spending more time there than you are in South Florida at this point. I thought of you, Tony, actually, when I was tuning into the Michigan game, because I knew Ed was there. And this really was the epitome, and I hate to use this cliche, of what college football was all about.
It is.
The 100,000 people, the blue and maize pom-poms. And I was thinking that this really is the essence of Tony Segreto's message. Because it's a great unifying thing on a Saturday afternoon. And I would imagine, at least in the beginning, before the game started, that it was a tremendous atmosphere to be a part of it, Garcia.
It was a great atmosphere all the way throughout. It was pretty cool. I wasn't too far away from McConaughey. I actually, also right next to me, I was kind of shocked. If you remember Mayor Lightfoot from Chicago, I looked to my right and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the mayor of Chicago. And saw a couple of other people. I'm sure you saw Jeter was there, and he was actually the honorary captain for the game. But it's a great event. I'll tell you, the Texas fans were super nice, super awesome. They were very impressed with the culture, the maize out for that day. all the different chants and cheers that we did. They were just very blown away with the program overall. Obviously, with 18, people going into the pros and, 3 new coaches, presented a little bit of challenge, but hey, we can call it a rebuilding year. We still have plenty of time. There's 12 teams that can make it into the playoffs. So, we'll take it step by step, but still very proud of the program, and we're going to go ahead and fail forward.
Well, not everyone's going to be Texas. Texas is arguably the best team. Between Texas, Georgia, if you want to put Ohio State in there, it's arguably the best team in the
Agreed.
And you guys aren't going to face them every week, and that was and that's what I was trying to talk about last week. I just felt bad. It's a bad matchup for Michigan where they are now. Look, playing defense and running worked last year because your quarterback could make the plays even if we gave him crap that needed to be made, and you saw that in the Final Four. You saw that in the championship game. The quarterback play to this point has been clear. It is a transition year at quarterback. And the running and defense thing doesn't work if you can't make – look, it's what's happening in my Florida State Seminoles. They're probably one of the best running games in college football. But if you can't throw at all, then they're just going to put 8 in the box, and they're not going to let you run. And Texas is so good on both sides of the ball now. Sark's built up their defensive line. He's built up the defense to match one of the best offenses in the country, and they have their veteran quarterback. So, it was just a really tough matchup for Michigan. I presume with the defense and the running ability they have, they'll find a way to, I don't think you're going to have the rebuilding year my team's going to have. It was just, Texas is just a buzzsaw, right? Texas is literally coming for blood after last year. They got really close. They sniffed it, and now it's like what Georgia did those first few years with Smart, right? They kept getting close and close and close, but they couldn't get past Bama, and then they just thumped Bama. And that's sort of what this Texas team is. They've been building to this for 3 to 4 years, and they're just ready to steamroll.
Agreed. Yep.
You know what, Ed and Jeff and Lubie, coming from a outsider who went there 3-4 times when Miami didn't play them, it is an awesome sight to show up and look at the bowl, and you see 107,000, 105,
111,000 on Saturday.
Wow. God, it was exceptional. It was, and Jeff, to your point, it just shows what it could do for the game, for the people, for everybody there. It's just an awesome sight, and you should be congratulated.
Thank you. Very, very blessed with a great program and a great university. So look forward to the next game I'll be up there for is Michigan State. So hopefully a little easier opponent.
Well, and this week you kind of get a softer spot there with Arky State, favored by 23 and a hook. What did you guys think, Tony and Ed? I don't know. Ed, you were at the game, so probably. And I couldn't find this game anywhere. Was it televised somewhere? The Miami game against what? FAMU? Is that who they beat up on? And they have another cupcake coming up with Ball State. But I don't know. Are you a believer now? Tony, you're on the board of directors, for God's sake. You get inside information. Ed, you obviously have a big interest having so many locations here in South Florida. Miami clearly appears to be the best of the 3 teams in the state right now, at least according to the first couple of results. Florida State struggling to find their first win. Florida looking bad. What do you think? Are they for real, Tony Segreto?
Miami's strong. They found their quarterback. And CJ Carr is the real deal. And wow.
I think Miami found the right recipe because we've been feeding the team quite a bit the last few weeks. So I will take some of the props that they are getting.
So it's all fueled by the ribeye steak. That's right out of Cinderella Man, where he eats the corned beef hash and knocks a guy out and says, "What if I had a couple of steaks?" And and so that's the inside info. Tony, you're supposed to give us this kind of info, not Ed. You're on the board of directors, for God's sake. We get nothing from you.
Why aren't they promoting that, Ed? Why aren't you or them or somebody that you're feeding the University of Miami football team?
I'll send you a picture of the food next time. But we put together quite a big spread for them. It's been pretty cool started really last year. We were working with their dietitian, and they put together a really amazing menu for the team. And we're we're just proud to support the community. That's really the biggest win.
What did they have? What did they have pregame? Tell us.
Sweet potatoes, no
Well,
doubt.
it's a variety of things, but we do everything from the salad, sirloin, sometimes strip steak, as well as the chicken breast. So they'll sometimes get double protein, steak and chicken. I mean, which I'm sure is just a Scooby snack for them, but
And they're college kids on top of it.
we put together quite a spread. For me, I'd be full for 3 days, but again, it's probably just a midday snack for those guys.
Well, Ed, look, what's interesting is, and we talk about not only the great atmosphere, all the things you guys do great at the restaurant. With COVID, you guys started doing the butcher shop, and you've kept that going where people can go and pick up steaks, which is really cool. Something we don't talk about, and it is funny that you guys, for a very, you're down the middle. You do things the right way. You're not flashy on purpose, except for like the dancing. You embrace a loud atmosphere, but you guys are just by the book, do everything right, just do a great job. It's funny, but you guys have found a really strong lane on TikTok. Like a lot of people are big. It's not even the bread. So this is something that's popped up. My wife is big with TikTok. She's become influencer on TikTok. And she was showing me this thing the other day. And what's great about you guys, it's not paid for. It's not anything. It is nutritionists, because you just clicked a thing with me, are advising people to buy your family packs individually and use that as weekly meal prep. And then when they break it down, it's like not only less, it's like way cheaper than if you went to the store and like were cooking your own food. So you have the food pre-cooked by someone who knows what they're doing, and it's cheaper. And I'm like, I would never talk to it. Like, I didn't even think, like, her and I were like, why aren't we doing this? Like, it's amazing, like the pricing for these family meals. And it could work for a family, but it's a big, in this day and age where people want good food, but they don't have a lot of time. It actually, and it's like hundreds of like nutritionists on TikTok. This is their move, is to be like, you know what you need to do? Go to Texas Roadhouse. And I'm like, I don't think they're paying for that. She's like, no, it's not. This is these people trying to get in the good graces of Texas Roadhouse. And it's like, holy crap. Like, that is such a really great idea on their end. And it's amazing that it's true.
Ed, do you have any influence in that?
We have zero influence. I mean, it happens from, I know exactly what TikTok video, because that really, when that happened, there's another gentleman, Jordan, that talked about the bread around Thanksgiving.
The bread thing was big for a while.
All that type of stuff kicks our butt, because all of a sudden, we just start getting so many orders for that type of stuff. And that's great. I mean, that's just natural, great advertising, and people understand the quality of food and the value that we give the local community, which I think is really important, that you can get a great meal, stay, very nutritious at the same time, and enjoy. But the family pack that young lady was talking about is the chicken family pack. So you get essentially 4 chicken breasts, and then you can choose your sides, which is huge, and it can feed, depending on how you cut it up, anywhere from 3 to 6 people. But very cool.
The only negativity about this whole streaming thing is that we don't have Ed coming with trays of food from Texas Roadhouse in the studio anymore.
That's right. Well, you say
when.
A
tray of corn home. That's great. Yeah.
Oh
I think we need to pick a Michigan game next year too, by the way, when we get the 4 of us.
Let's go.
I have 4 season tickets. That would be
I've
a lot of fun.
That would be great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. All right, we got to run, kids. Ed, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank
good
you,
luck
guys.
this week against Arkansas State. And,
Good luck. It's Arky Light. And
we were thinking of you. It was not pretty in the first half, as you said, but maybe a good account in the second half, and maybe that'll be a forebearer of good things to come. Ed, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, guys.
Ed Garcia, ladies and gentlemen.
He is such a gentleman.
What a great guy, too.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Typical that he would, be one of your friends and not necessarily come from
exactly
the legions of people that, Lubie and I know. A successful gentleman who just does all the right things. And, it's funny, in terms of food, where you're getting descriptions of food and it stays with you, or even any great line like, people will always remember Al Michaels for "Do You Believe in Miracles?" talking about the hockey game against the Soviet Union. But your statement on the commercial for Texas Roadhouse, when the way you enunciated that fresh baked bread, I can't tell you, Tony, how many people come up to me and just, they say, hey, you still working with Tony Segreto? I go, yeah. And they go, that fresh baked bread. You made that legendary long before TikTok. Brilliant line by you. And what's said with such sincerity, and everybody knows that, where Lubie and I might be challenged in this regard, that you are a man of just 100% credibility.
Listen, if my wife doesn't make bread, my wife makes I got 2 loaves in the freezer here. 2 loaves. If my wife doesn't make bread, the bread that I look forward to eating is Texas Roadhouse.
There it is.
Oh, for sure.
Give us one. That might be the way to close the show with Tony Segreto talking about that fresh baked bread. We won't put you on the spot for that.
You love it.
Hey, would you care to sing your hit song? No. Get fucked. Tony, we love you, man. Enjoy that weather up there. I guess the leaves turning and everything, the colors, what's going on?
Now? Okay.
We don't have any of that. We just have iguanas falling out of trees. That's the only way we know the seasons are changing. Or maybe one poops on your head, while you're doing the walk of life. All right, we love you, Tony. You're as handsome as ever. And next week, you have to promise us, Tony.
I promise. I'll get the board this morning.
You're on record with the Dolphins this week, and so you'll be 2-0 if they win.
That's fine.
All right.
Okay.
But we'll see how close you come to the seasonal record, and I think that's something the fans are all coveting. The whole concept of having Tony resurrected. I'm serious. It was one of my favorite things every year.
I love it.
I look forward to the schedule coming out for only one reason. I would turn on the news on NBC, and it could have been 9/11, and they would still go to you first.
100%.
Well, you know what? We had 2 buildings go down. They collapsed in New York City. Thousands of people are dead. But the Dolphin schedule came out. Here's Tony Segreto from the sports department.
Jesus.
Oh, God.
All right, we love you, kid. Thanks for being with us, Tony. Bye-bye. Always a pleasure, man. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that was fun, Louis. That was a good time all the way around.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are a little bit relieved and getting some discussion on the chat line here from some of our favorite people about so Trump is standing next to Biden and Kamala at the World Trade Center memorial.
World Trade Center ceremony, and it's Mayo sent you the picture should be in your phone. It's Harris, Biden, I don't know, some other dude, Trump, Vance. Just fine. I mean, look, that's what this country.
What a tool is Vance is too. I mean, I find him more disgusting than Trump. Yeah.
I love that he comes out of left field with crazier shit. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You have no idea what's going on in Haiti or Haitian people here. Like
every question they could ask him about, hey, what are you going to do about the economy? Well, you know what? Millions of people are criminals. They're insane people. I mean, he kept coming back. That's his own. I mean, you talk about a one-trick pony.
It's a lie. Well, it's a lie. Like the reason.
Well, and then on top of that, I mean, he really stammered around. He did a Cramden again when Kamala brought up, and correctly so, that you're the guy that killed the bill that would have increased this border security. So, I mean, if you're so interested in the country, why would you postpone doing anything about it when this was a huge step, bipartisan step in the right direction? A bill, I mean, and you know how hard it is to get these bills passed now that are proposed by a Democratic leadership, because you have all of these lunatics from the Republican Party that'll do anything that Trump says, hoping to preserve their jobs. And let's hope they're riding the coat strings of a complete loser here, because to kill that bill, I mean, is insane. And how somebody that wasn't even empowered at the time had that kind of influence. Is also, a very detrimental statement about where the Republican Party is at, that they would be influenced by this and not just say, hey, listen, when you get back in power, you call the shots. In the meantime, this is what we're doing because we think it's the right thing.
Well, and on top of that,
how simple is that?
Once that happens, you then can't talk about immigration because now it's your fault. Like that's the thing is it's now your fault. The funny part about it is that he always leaves out Biden. They keep doing this thing now because they're like, oh, fuck, she has really good ideas. Oh, why isn't she doing them now? First of all, when you leave a train wreck, you can't just go back to having the train run at 75 miles an hour, right? You got to fix the wreck. You got to fix the tracks. You got to fix the fucking train. You got to get it running again. It's got to go 35, 45, 55, 65, and 75. That's what the last 3.5 years have been. Now she's going to take it to another level. But on top of that, Biden actually did do an executive order. Which what he doesn't realize is those are bad. You don't want executive orders. You have a Congress, you have a fucking Supreme Court, and you have a president. We have a tricameral government, okay? Executive orders are bad. That means the president is getting fucked by all sides and saying, all right, screw it, I'm going to be a dictator. That's really what executive order is. They're okay. You can do them here and there, but you're not supposed to do them. He did more than any president because he didn't want to work with people. Biden isn't that president. He likes working with people. He's actually one of the best presidents ever at working with people, especially in this era where no one wants to work together. He then went and did an executive order, and since that, border crossings are down 40%. That's why bringing up immigration is stupid, because one, he ruined the bill that would have cut it down like to 60 or 70%. But on top of that, after that, Biden still made his own executive order that has cut it down nearly 50%. So like the immigration issue is not a good issue for him because the Dems are kicking ass at it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. All right, we got to run. Lubie, a pleasure. The Mike Mayo Lunchbox show today is from Even Keel Fish Shack. We recorded that yesterday, and it was a pleasure, man. I love Brad, man. The attention to detail that
they're amazing. And
I mean, he gets into like the quality of the peas that are at the bottom of this thing that are like almost in the capacity of being a garnish to the dish, and yet he cares about. Well, these came from South Carolina. I mean, it's just amazing the way they go about their business there. Really, really an artistic approach and reasonably priced too. So we'll see you from there on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox show. From Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll have a trivia challenge with Dave Gurgles Gurgley, a Degenerate Friday coming up on Friday. And we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they brought.